Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to the Ageless Sisters, your global source for beauty and anti-aging, with your host, Cynthia Rowland, creator of Facial Magic and Luscious Lips.
Well, good morning, everyone. It's Cynthia Rowland here, and I'm delighted to be on the air today. I have a real special guest. Sometimes you run into a woman where you just connect, and that is the lady that we're having as our guest today. We're bringing on Nancy Mills. And when I think of Nancy Mills, there is one word that comes to mind, actually two words, spirited and empowered. And Nancy Mills is the founder of the Spirited Woman, and this is a global woman's empowerment community. And so when you hear Nancy Mills and when she begins to present her vision for women using her scarves to heal and support the actions of empowerment, you're going to feel enthused about what she has to say. So without any further time on the clock, let me introduce all of you to Nancy Mills. Welcome.
Oh, thank you, Cynthia. That was such a nice introduction.
Well, I am so delighted that you're going to be our guest today, and I know that you have worked very hard for a long time to put yourself in this wonderful position of being a celebrated, recognized, leading woman's visionary. It doesn't happen without all of your endeavor, does it?
Oh, it's been 13 years.
There you go.
It's been 13 years, and it's been quite the ride.
Well, you know what? When you have quite the ride like that, it makes certain that you know you're still alive and that you still have so much to offer women everywhere.
Well, you know, the thing is, and I'll say this to any woman, any man, anybody who's doing anything, if you come from a place of passion, if you know that this is your life's mission, if you come from a place of commitment, then you will commit and you will be passionate and you will stay on that road. And anyone who thinks that road is always straight really is not a spirited woman.
Exactly. Well, you know, Nancy, I've never asked you this question, so I want to know, is it because of your passion that you named your company the Spirited Woman? Is that your passion, or how did you come up with that? Because you are spirited.
Well, you know, as I said, I think life really takes you on a journey. And for years prior to starting Spirited Woman, I was a travel journalist. I had my own public relations company. I was in communications. I did a lot of different things. So I had a lot of different chapters leading up to this. And interestingly enough, it was a personal story that ended getting me on this road. I had broken up with a boyfriend, and I was sobbing in my apartment. It was one of those moments. And my neighbor heard me crying, and she knocked on the door. And she said, "Is there anything I can do to help you?" And I said, "Well, I'm just very unhappy right now. I'm really unhappy." She said, "Well, what would make you happy?" Now, she had no idea that I was a former travel journalist. And I said to her, A trip would make me happy. Now,
get me out of here wherever I'm going. It would be okay, probably.
She said, "Where?" And I'll never know the answer to this question, ever. I said, "Montana. I want to go to Montana." Now, I had no friends in Montana. I had never been to Montana. I had never done stories on Montana. 2 days later, there's a knock on my door. It's the same neighbor. My mother is going on a driving trip to Montana, and one of the women who was supposed to go has just canceled. Would you like to go with her? And 1 week later, I was in a car with 3 other strangers driving to Montana. And
I just got a shiver up my spine when you said that.
It's just an amazing story. The whole thing was amazing. So we get to this woman's place outside of it was a lake-oriented property, but it happened to be right next to an Indian burial ground. And the woman who owned the property, she was putting us up, and I went for a walk, and we go for a walk to the end of her property, and there is this magnificent, huge rock. And I said, that rock is in the shape of a woman. And she said, yes, we call her Spirit Woman. And I looked at her, a stranger, and I said, that's what I'm doing for the rest of my life. And I had one of these moments. I think it had to do with the ancestral influence of the Native American land. I have since learned that is so important in terms of my growth. And that happened a little over 13 years ago, and it just completely and totally resonated with me. It overtook me, and then as the years have gone on, I have formulated this whole, endeavor from that one moment.
Wow. Well, that is an amazing story, Nancy, and I still am tingling from it. So when you saw this fabulous rock that was the Spirit Woman, did you go to that rock when you were there in Montana? Did you go there every day? How long did you get to stay in Montana? Did you bond with that rock?
No, none of the above. I mean,
okay.
Really, I knew that I had the moment, and I also smart enough to know that I had the chapters. I had the background. I had a writing background. I had a public relations background. I had a really strong communications background. So I knew that if I wanted to do something to help women, I really could. I had a publication for women when I was in the travel arena. I did lectures, I did events, I did seminars. So I really, my travel publication was called Travelin Woman. So I really was set up to do this, but just in a bigger way. And I think what happened is that even though at the beginning it was very, very hard for me to get involved with the Internet, I had some really crazy stories with that. When I eventually did get involved with the Internet, I was very fortunate because I really took to it. And what ended up happening was that I was able to create something that was international, but something that I understood. I liked the Internet. I wasn't frightened by it. And when Facebook came along, I loved it. When Twitter came along, I thought it was great. When Pinterest came along, I thought it was brilliant. So, there are personalities that mesh with where it is going, and mine is one of them. So that gave me a much larger platform. But I had all these, as I said, chapters in my life, so I could do all of these things. And I've always been, the underlying message of Spirited Woman is you are enough as you are. I mean, that is the message. And
I like that. They are lacking in many, many ways. But you empower them to understand that they are enough as they are.
I don't know if I empower them. I give them a platform to empower themselves. I think it's fascinating. Women are, the backbone, really, of the world. If it wasn't for us, there'd be no people. We are very unstoppable in so much that we do. And I think very often it just takes finding the right group, the right organization, the right like-minded group of people to align yourself with, to realize that you are the one who is going to be empowering yourself. I think that is a very, very important message, and one that does not need to feel that someone will give that to them. They have that within themselves. It's just
and you bring it to the forefront.
Yeah, it's just a matter of sparking it. It's just a matter of sparking it.
I have a question about, I hear what you're saying, and you have the words, you are enough as you are. Did you write an actual mission statement to bring that out, or Was that just an aha moment, or how did you come up with
what
this?
happened was is that after I came back and had seen that fateful rock, I came back and literally a property, a book, was brought forth through me. That's the best way I can describe it. I don't describe myself in any way as a channeler, but what ended up happening is that I kept on hearing all these messages, and they kept on writing through me, and hundreds of pages were written, and finally I honed it down into a book, and I called the book Spirited Woman. And it was way ahead of its time. It was a very different kind of a property, and I couldn't get anybody to buy it, but that was the luckiest thing that ever happened to me, because what happened is that instead of waiting for the rest of my life for somebody to buy a book, I decided to create a movement around the book. And I lived in Santa Barbara, California, when the book was finished, and I started Spirited Woman in Santa Barbara. That's where I started it.
I did not know that.
Yeah, and so what I did is I put a flyer up on a bulletin board, and I said, I'm having a Spirited Woman workshop. And the first woman who signed up called me, and I'd like to come to your workshop. And I remember saying to her, you would? I didn't know. What do you mean? You're going to pay me for a workshop? And that was about 13 years ago. And Spirited Woman has gone through all of these incredible changes since then. I mean, and if you'd like, I can tell you the various directions we've gone. But once again, that is so important for somebody to understand. Don't hold on to the passion, hold on to the mission, hold on to the commitment, but go with the flow as you're doing that. If you need to change out a product, change it out. If you need to expand a workshop, expand it. If you need to bring in a partner, bring in one. You have to go with the flow along the way. The thing is do not lose the sight of the mission as you are doing that.
So many women, do lose sight of their mission and their goal when they are creating something new because they go into fear. How is it that you stay out of fear, Nancy? You bold, spirited woman.
No, I'm a dichotomy. There's a part of me is fearless. Another part of me is riddled with fears. It really is dependent on which part of me you're talking to. And I think that is true for many. I mean, there are certain areas that I am fearless, and I'll just get out there and I'll do it, because I don't view it as being anything other as what it is that I need to do, so I will do it. If I am fearful about something, I'm a basket case. It takes me a long time to make a decision. It takes me a long time to move forward because I'm not as secure in that particular area as I might be in another. I think that's just human nature.
Mm-hmm. Well, it seems to me that you plow through fear pretty fast because you've accomplished a lot in 13 years.
Well, I have, actually, and I think the turning point was the Internet. I mean, it really worked out very well. I have accomplished a lot, and I'm very, very, I've never taken out a loan. For that, I'm so grateful, not to demean anybody who has, but I've been so fortunate that I've never had to take out a loan. I keep on moving forward every single year, and it's not a huge growth, but I do my best to stay on track to expand the business. I think
what are you working on now that's got you excited?
Well, I've had a really interesting past 3 years. We left the workshop business per se. I dropped that years ago, and then went into some forms of products. Sort of dropped that. Then went into some mentoring programs and did that for a while. And Spirited Woman was one of the first companies ever to do a telechat series I did telechat series in 2006 before anybody knew what the word telechat was, and I did them with very famous women authors. So there's been a lot of chapters. That said, in the past 3 years, we really are primarily an Internet-based company. And I started something which is called the Top 12 Pick List, which you have been on, by the way, Cynthia, several times, which I'm very thrilled with. And
I thank you for that, yes.
Oh, great. It's a social media tool primarily. Came to my attention that there are millions of women out there who need recognition but who do not have a large advertising budget. And so I developed the pick list so that they could get that recognition via social media and that they could announce to the world that they are on a pick list. It's by invitation only, but we've had over 700 women be on the list, and it's been very popular, and the women are extraordinary. It's a way to be seen. Also,
now, when's your next pick list coming up?
In fall, and I'm looking for exciting women right now to be on that list. It's always
if anyone listening to this broadcast is a businesswoman, right? Is that the qualification, a businesswoman?
A businesswoman, a solo entrepreneur, someone who's highly creative, sure.
Yes, and so could they contact you, Nancy, and talk to you about this?
Absolutely.
So let me give everyone your email address, and that is Nancy Mills at thespiritedwoman.com. Let's do that one more time. Nancy Mills at thespiritedwoman.com. Because, my goodness, there are a lot of people listening to this broadcast today, and surely somebody would like to have some, it's almost free advertising, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a nominal cost, but it really
Yes, but that's nominal. Not like you'd have to put out a big budget or anything.
My goodness, it's nominal, and it's a great opportunity. And our fall list is very popular because it's the one in right before our Christmas list. So it's a very, very good list to be on. So there's two different lists. There's product services, and then there's another list for books. So that works out well. And my email address is all over the website and my phone number. So you're always welcome to call me.
That's good.
The other thing I started 3 years ago is the Spirited Woman Directory. And that is a collection of stories and resources for an inspired life. And the concept of that is every woman visionaries who are changing the world one spirited woman step at a time. That, too, is a social media tool. We started our first one. Our first directory came out in 2012. And I'm so pleased and proud to say that Cynthia actually was the first person to write Spirited Woman a check to be in the directory. And I'll never forget that as long as I live. Cynthia.
Well, honey, thank you.
Well, no, you backed me. And
I still believe in you. And also about these scarves that you have. You should tell the listeners about, let's talk about the scarves.
And the third thing, besides the pick list and the directory, the third thing, about a year and a half ago, I started something called the Sisterhood of the Sacred Scarves. And I felt very, very strongly about this because I felt that scarves are connectors. I also felt that scarves can help us heal and they can help us pray. So I developed something called the Spirited Woman Prayer Scarf, and around that, the Sisterhood of the Sacred Scarves. And I decided that I would donate a portion of every scarf into a fund so that we could establish the Spirited Woman Foundation, which has always been a hope and dream of mine. And long story short, the first Spirited Woman prayer scarf, we've had 7 of them now. The first one was called the Spirited Woman prayer scarf, and we held a scarf ritual in conjunction with it. The second one was called Reflections, and we held a scarf ritual in conjunction with that. And they've all been prayer scarves. And the long and the short of it is, I am so proud and so thrilled to say that over 700 scarves have been sold in the past year and a half. We now have over 250 women in the Sisterhood of the Sacred Scarves. Many of the women have bought all 7 of the scarves. From this, I was able to establish the Spirited Woman Foundation, which really has been a dream come true. And the foundation was established at the beginning of this year. And the goal of the foundation is to help heal and support women through actions of empowerment. Mm-hmm. And to date, we've given out funds to the Girl Blue Project. We've given out funds to the Love You Revolution workshop. We've given a fellowship to Arroyo, which is a leading organization for women writers, to help with their creativity and their self-esteem. And now I'm going to be working on a project to help young Latin women get involved artistically and creatively in their community. So that's another project that I'm working on. So it really has been extraordinary. So just by coming up with this idea, a dream actually, that women love beauty, i.e. a scarf, that they love connecting and supporting with one another. The concept really is this. You purchase a scarf, and then there is a group scarf ritual that comes along with it, which is led by a healer, and we do these for each scarf. And it's just grown and grown and grown and grown, and we now have these prayer scarves all over the world. Women have them in Paris and Australia and Germany, and women take them on trips, and we have photographs of women all over the world wearing the scarves. And
well, I have one of your first scarves. I think it's a purple one.
I know you do, but you don't have the scarf from this particular project. You have this yours that goes back way back. This has morphed into the Sisterhood of the Sacred Scarves. So we'll have to get you
and
back.
And they're so colorful and beautiful, Nancy.
Yeah. Well,
they are wonderfully made.
Yeah, every scarf is a different one now. So as I said, we've had 7. Our last scarf was called Spirit, actually, and the one before that was called the Painted Muse, and the one before that was called Peace.
Right.
And we've named them and
very appropriately named, I might say.
Yeah, so that's been a very big thing. And then additionally, we do events, but the events are very minimal, in that they're not the biggest aspect of the business. The most important thing, I think, really are the pick list, the directory, and the scarves.
Mm-hmm. Well, okay, just back to your events very briefly. I know that they're lots of fun. I'm going to come to one of them one of these days. I know you've got one coming up in September, next week, isn't it?
Yeah, I have an event in Los Angeles coming up on September 28th, and that I'm very much looking forward to. It's actually called Spirit. It's going to be a luncheon where those of the women who already have the Spirit scarf will be wearing theirs, and those who don't will be able to buy one. And it will be a wonderful afternoon of connection and helping
empowerment.
One another. Yeah, helping one another really move into the world in spirit, and that's one of the reasons why the events got started, because it's so important to take what it is that we're doing together and bring it out into the community, each one of us separately. So that's what.
And it's a worldwide effort. It's not just a Los Angeles-based effort. This is a worldwide effort, Nancy, that you're bringing these women together. And for our listeners out there who might want to know more about how Nancy's organization has thrived and just become so vibrant and viable, they can go to thespiritedwoman.com and read about what you're doing, who you are, what your mission is, and the dreams and hopes for the future for the Spirited Woman. And every woman is indeed a spirited woman.
And that goes without saying. That absolutely goes without saying. That lives within you. Nobody feels it every single day. Nobody feels that they're spirited 24 hours, 7 days a week. But it's free. It lives in you. It is your passion. That's what it is.
Yes. Well, is there, So what do you want to do for the next 10 years, Nancy?
Well, that's a great question. I see myself, the role of what I do in this organization as being broader. Because I have very elderly parents, I have stayed as close as I can to the Los Angeles area. Coming from my travel background, that has been difficult.
Because you want to get out and see the world, or you want to live somewhere else, or what's the deal?
I'm trying to choose my words very diplomatically. So, yes, where I see all this happening is that I will be going on the road a lot more. I see many more events around this because there have been so many women involved in the pick list directory, the Sisterhood of the Sacred Scarves. There are women in cities all over the United States and the world. There's quite a few women that are aware now of Spirited Woman. It has taken years, but it has paid off. And so I want to go meet those women. I want to be amongst them. I want get more involved with what it is that Spirited Woman would like to do ultimately. And that is act as much more of a connector than it's acting now. One of my strengths and one of the strengths of Spirited Woman, and one of the things that I really, really empower women to do, that is to connect with others. That's one of the strengths that I have, and I think it's one of the strengths that I've accomplished through this organization. So it's really important for women to know that there is an organization and there's a community that they can connect in. I don't carry a business card, and the reason why I'm expressing that on this particular call is because I truly believe that we don't. The way that one truly connects with another is through the eyes and through the heart. And if somebody wants to do business with you, they will find you. Maybe I've lost a lot of business that way, but it's been very important for me to have people connect with me in different ways. And I do my best when I meet people to always follow through so that they know that I'm there. I'll get there.
And you're genuine.
Yes, yeah. I don't like to just get out there and just talk business. That's just sort of not where I sit. And I think that's one of the ways that Spirited Woman can help a lot of people.
Yes. Well, we're coming right down to the end of the wire, my dear. We've got less than 2 minutes now to go, but I see that we have a caller. But you know what, Nancy? I don't have time for a caller today. Doggone it. But I just want to thank you for sharing so much of yourself with all of these women and men who are listening on the call today. And if there's one closing statement you want to, or one piece of advice you want to share with the listeners before we leave, is there anything you'd like to share with somebody?
Well, I would say, stay on that boat, stay on that plane. Stay in that car, stay on that walk. In other words, keep that journey. Just keep
walking.
Right. Yeah, just keep walking. Keep that journey right in front of you, and know that it is your path.
Yeah. Well, I thank you so much. I just want to announce to everyone that our next show is with Staness, who has written a very famous book called The Menopause Makeover. And she's going to be our next guest on October the 3rd. But I want to just say a very big thank you to my wonderful friend, Nancy Mills, for being on the Ageless Sisters today. So from all of us here, we're going to say goodbye. Don't forget, you can contact her, Nancy Mills, at thespiritedwoman.com and go to her website, www.thespiritedwoman.com, and read about what she's doing in the world. So until next time, Nancy, saying goodbye to you, my dear.
Bye. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
You've been listening to the Ageless Sisters. Tune in again next time for the most up-to-date beauty and anti-aging secrets, tips, and shortcuts. And anti-aging secrets, tips, and shortcuts. And anti-aging secrets, tips, and